The Red Ribbon Army, a name that echoes across generations in the Dragon Ball world. What began as Commander Red's wounded ambition would grow into a global military power, and, under the genius of Dr. Gero, evolved into something far more dangerous. An empire shaped by pride, grief, and obsession. Though destroyed by a child, its legacy refused to die, and the androids and bioweapons born from that vision would go on to both doom and save the world. This is the complete history of the Red Ribbon Army, its rise, destruction, and the many machines that carried its hatred into the future. But before we begin, when androids come a-knocking, you don't want to be caught with a boring browser. You've got to at least look technologically prepared. And man, does Opera GX look better than ever. Want to watch anime that's been region-locked by the androids? Opera GX comes with a free VPN built in, letting you set your location across Asia, Europe, and the Americas. It's basically instant transmission for your internet while hiding your IP. But the real power comes from modifications, and Opera GX has a ton of full customization mods through the GX store. I've got a Vegeta mod installed right now with an animated wallpaper, music, custom keyboard sounds, splash screens, icons, font. There are tons of mods to explore. Though lately I've been really into this cyberpunk one with a cool splash screen and a shader that makes me feel like I really am making a difference in the fight against the androids. And when I'm researching or editing, the pop-out video feature is a must. I can keep watching an episode or referencing a clip while working without juggling tabs. It also has a built-in ad blocker so you don't get interrupted mid-fight. And if you're switching from another browser, you can time skip the entire finding your old bookmark arc. Just go to settings, synchronization, and import your bookmarks, cookies, and history in seconds. So use the link in the description and download Opera GX for free. And thank you to Opera GX for sponsoring this video. The history of the Red Ribbon Army begins with a young boy named Red Raibon, who was relentlessly bullied in his childhood for being short. Kids also made fun of him for having the face of a 40-year-old despite being so young. So we can surmise that he looked like this. And yes, his real name really was Red Raibon, as revealed by Toyotaro in the Super manga and a bonus illustration. He was told by Akira Toriyama that everyone kept mispronouncing his name as Red Ribbon, so he just kind of embraced it and took it on as the name of his organization. Red began the Red Ribbon Army as an independent organization, which would become infamous as one of the most terrifying and powerful armies in the world. While to the outside world, and even those in the army themselves, it looks like their goal is to take over the world, Red's real aim is to be respected. Once he finds out about the Dragon Balls, the way he chooses to achieve this is by wishing to be taller, satisfying his Napoleon complex, so world domination can come after. The Red Ribbon Army was formed alongside another founding member, Dr. Gero. He was a brilliant scientist who designed all of the army's weaponry and was renowned through the scientific community as an expert in biotechnology. He was essentially the mastermind behind the scenes and had much more to lose than perhaps even Red. You see, Gero had a wife named Vami, who was also a researcher in the army, but died long before Gero. And that's it for her in the main story. But there will be more discussion about her down the line. The two of them had 2 children. We don't know much about the second, simply that they disapproved of what Gero was doing. The second was named Gevo, who, according to Toyotaro, seems like a good guy, though the Dragon Ball Z Kakarot Encyclopedia describes him as a ruthless soldier, codenamed Gold. Tragically, he was killed in battle by a stray bullet while serving in the Red Ribbon Army, causing a deep pain to Gero, which he would carry into the future. Keep Gevo in mind, he'll come back up later on. And no, he wasn't killed by Goku while storming the base. That was just in Dragon Ball Z Abridged. Red had a family of his own at some point, with a son named Magenta Raibon, who looks very similar to him, and although not explicitly stated, Dragon Ball Super Superhero shows that Magenta has a picture of Colonel Violet, another Red Ribbon member, next to one of Red, more than likely suggesting that she was Magenta's mother. With the background of the army's creators out of the way, we need to discuss what the army actually accomplished through their years prior to the main story. Very little is actually known about the army's movements, but they were widely known across the Dragon world. According to Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, the army was using pharmaceuticals and drugs for their more nefarious work. Red Pharmaceuticals would begin distributing a drug called Super Animorphaline, a much stronger version of the drug originally developed by Magical Pharmaceuticals, as a way to turn normal humans into beastmen. It was a huge fad in the Dragon world at the time, but the Red Ribbon Ribbon version of the drug was so strong that people would just get stuck as that. This was at the height of the animorpholine craze in the dragon world, which Kakarot mentions as even the King of Earth partaking in. But just as a side note, not everyone that's a human animal took this. Like Oolong, for example. He really was just born like that. The Red Ribbon had many battles through the years against other unnamed armies, storming castles and bases, and on one occasion, Dr. Gero took a doll from an enemy base as a battle trophy. It seems like the army also had some of their weaponry stolen at some point, since because of this, Gero began his development and obsession with androids. He concluded that, although conventional weapons, such as the battle jacket he created, could be used by their enemies, androids couldn't. So over the next few years, Gero would continue to try and develop androids, though nearly all of them were deemed as failures. They were almost entirely artificial creations, and though he was able to give them consciousness, they failed in what Toriyama calls the personality control department. Some were too kind, others too stupid, etc, etc. The army built quite a few bases. This includes Muscle Tower by Jingle Village, and the main HQ located deep in a forest, 2,300 kilometers away from Korin Tower, outside of the aforementioned members. According to the official Dragon Ball site, along with weapons and military equipment like androids and battle jackets, the army boasts impressive vehicle manufacturing technology and holds a 16% share in the global market, second only to Capsule Corp. The Red Ribbon contains several high-ranking officials overseeing their own cells: Colonel Silver, General White, Ninja Murasaki, General Blue, Captain Dark, Captain Yellow, Colonel Violet, etc. We never meet Brown or Copper, but they are mentioned in this series. Staff Officer Black is another prominent member, as Red's second in command. He is a very tall man, which makes Red feel even worse, and constantly insults him. Still, Black truly believes in their goal of taking over the world, so he puts up with it. The army also hired assassins and thieves outside of the organization, with the most prominent being Tao Pai Pai. He's just hired by them, despite the fact that the dub gives him the title of General for some reason. Since he's so intertwined with the army, I think it's worth going into more detail in his story. Tao was born on age 459, and is the younger brother of Tsuru Sennin, the Crane Hermit, who was the martial arts rival of Master Roshi. On age 730, Tao became an assassin, according to the Daizenshu. At one point, Tao Pai Pai visited South City, where a young Mr. Satan, then known as Mark, and his martial arts master made fun of Tao's hair. Not knowing he was an assassin, Tao killed his master and left Mr. Satan severely injured, swearing to never face anyone with strange powers he couldn't confidently defeat. The video game Dragon Ball Z Kakarot also shows that he helped train Tien as a cruel instructor. We won't get to him until a bit later into the arc, but these are events that likely happened right before or during the series' first couple arcs. The Chosenshu databook provides a chart showing the command chain for the Red Ribbon, with red at the top and black right below, though Gero is set apart from the others since this was made before the revelation that he was in control as well. But with that whole setup out of the way, I think we can begin with their story proper. In age 749, a young girl named Bulma met Son Goku up in the mountains while searching for the Dragon Balls. This kicked off all of this mess, but the next year, on April 18th, age 750, the Red Ribbon Army began their own search for the Dragon Balls, assisted by a less advanced version of the Dragon Radar. This leads us to... The anime and the manga take different approaches to a good chunk of this arc. For example, in the manga, Silver is a fairly minor villain who only faces Goku once, while in the anime, he is a recurring villain taking up the start of the story. So to cover my bases, I will talk about the anime-only material as well. On May 7th, age 750, the 21st World Tournament takes place, where Goku becomes the runner-up. He then sets his sights on finding the 4-star Dragon Ball his father left him, venturing on his own. That same day, Colonel Brown finds the 7-star ball for the Red Ribbon Army. In the anime, Silver is introduced earlier than in the manga as a ruthless enforcer, storming homes in search for the Dragon Balls. When an antique shop owner attempts to deceive him with a fake Dragon Ball, Silver immediately sees through it, since he knows the Dragon Balls are indestructible. When the fake shatters, he kills the shopkeeper. Turns out the real Dragon Ball was taken by a bird towards Ox King's village. During its pursuit, it's revealed that the Red Ribbon does have their own dragon radar, but it takes up a whole room, and it's less precise than the one Bulma made. Silver does find the bird, but it gets eaten by a pterodactyl, who then gets killed by Ox King to use for dinner, where the Pilaf gang steal it by pretending to be Goku, while Ox King prepares his daughter's wedding. Might as well take advantage of the fact that Goku's there. While the Red Ribbon army storm Ox King's village, Silver himself is going after Pilaf's floating fortress. This is also Goku's first interaction with the Red Ribbon, taking some soldiers on alongside Chi-Chi, but this is anime only. Thankfully, Goku's able to rescue Ox King. Silver loses sight of Pilaf, so he requests help from HQ to point him out. Despite their help, he can't find Pilaf's floating fortress anywhere. The normal Red Ribbon grunts are left shoveling sand to find the Dragon Ball, but this was actually a trap by Pilaf, allowing them to sink into the sand and trapping them below. As Silver's jet flies overhead, Pilaf tries to shoot it down. Silver just carpet bombs the entire thing, killing his own men in the process. Goku was also trapped below, trying to find the Dragon Ball, but with nowhere else to run, Pilaf releases the floating fortress once again, only to be met by the entirety of the Red Ribbon Air Force. So, Silver gets the Dragon Ball. The anime really builds up Silver, showing other scenes of him lifting weights, bursting his sandbag with punches, and reporting to Red, where he barely manages to dodge his monster cat from cutting his face to bits. Though Red himself is built up even more, as a terrifying leader who randomly throws knives at him. Silver leads 4 units into the forest, where Goku is already hanging out with monkeys, one of which finds the 5-star Dragon Ball. The army finds that monkey, and they torch down the entire area to get him. Almost none of this happens in the manga. What does happen is that the next day, Goku casually finds the Dragon Ball between some rocks, and easily defeats the Red Ribbon soldiers trying to get it from him. But one of those soldiers calls Silver to warn him about the Dragon Ball getting away. As Goku flies out of there, Silver realizes that the Dragon Ball is on the move, running out of his office and shooting down the flying Nimbus with a rocket. Goku is livid but tries to walk away, only for Silver to be defeated with a single punch, the first high-ranking soldier defeated by the Monkey Boy. With the Nimbus gone, Goku has no way to move, so he steals some capsules from Silver, summoning a robot who helps him pilot the plane towards the next Dragon Ball. Once he recovers, Silver calls HQ, telling them about the monkey-tailed boy with a better dragon radar than what they have. Red calls White to make sure he's ready. In the anime, we actually see Silver return to HQ, begging to be given one more chance. The last we see of him, he's running away, as Red orders his men to execute him. In the manga, we just hear that he's set to be executed. After defeating Colonel Silver, the robot freezes and crash lands the plane near Jingle Village, a snowy village under the Red Ribbon Army control. There, a girl named Suno rescues him from freezing over, taking him to her house. She explains that the army has forced the village's men, including her father, to search for a Dragon Ball around the area. The village chief has been taken hostage and is being held inside the military fortress known as Muscle Tower. White has his men look everywhere for Goku until they locate him at Suno's place. After the house is attacked, Goku decides to rescue the village chief and run the army out of town. Muscle Tower is commanded by General White and structured like a video game tower gauntlet. As Goku makes his way to Muscle Tower, several soldiers and vehicles try to get in his way, but he destroys each one. Goku launches himself into the tower with a power pole, defeating a few soldiers before going up a floor to Major Metallotron, a massive fighter who is revealed to be a robot, though he's not considered one of the androids. Goku blows his head clean off. On the next floor, Goku faces Ninja Murasaki, one of my personal favorite Red Ribbon members. He tries many different stealth and ninjutsu techniques, like accidentally hiding behind an American flag, but none of them work. Goku even uses the 1000 years of pain on him. Murasaki eventually summons his identical brothers, pretending to have some sort of shadow clone jutsu, but it still fails. Murasaki resorts to releasing Android number 8, the first true Red Ribbon android we ever see. He was created by Dr. Gero, and according to Toriyama, in the full-color manga interviews, is fully mechanical. However, the Chozenshu guidebook describes him as being a bio-android with a human base, likely because he was made using human parts, but the insides are mechanical. In the anime, since they had no idea about Dr. Gero yet, they end up giving him a filler creator named Dr. Frappe, who's actually a pretty nice guy. In the Daisenshu guidebooks, he's explained to have been the co-creator of number 8, along with Gero. But again, this is an entirely anime-only character. Unlike the other Red Ribbon creations, Android 8 refuses to fight and rejects violence. Murasaki threatens to blow him up, forcing Goku to show true anger for the first time. destroying the remote and defeating Murasaki. So Android 8 joins him, or 8er in English. The two travel up a maze and into White's command room. At the top of the tower, General White opens a trapdoor that drops both of them into a room where the monstrous Bouillon lives, a creature with electric powers that seems to be invincible. Dragon Ball Online reveals that the Bouillon race are actually aliens. So I wonder how the Red Ribbon Army found him. Recalling Suno's words about freezing, Goku destroys a wall, freezes Bouillon, and escapes back up. White grabs the village chief and shoots Goku in the head. Of course, the bullet doesn't kill him, but as White continues to yell and threatens to kill the chief, 8er decides to finally fight, jumps in the way, and punches General White into the sky. Goku, Android 8, and the chief escape. In the manga, they just leave, but in the anime, 8er actually destroys the tower. It turns out that 8er had the 2-star Dragon Ball the entire time, and gives it to Goku. In the manga, 8er continues to live happily with a bomb inside him the entire time, threatening Jingle Village every single day. But in the anime, they remember that he has a bomb, so they go to Dr. Frappe to remove it, and to repair the broken Dragon radar. Turns out that Murasaki is alive, and returns to steal the Dragon Ball, but is killed when the removed bomb lands on him. Little by little, Goku has been shaving off the Red Ribbon Army. Also, one of the older villages reveals to Goku that the Flying Nimbus is still around. He just has to call it back. And so, Goku flies to West City to get the radar fixed, since Frappe couldn't do it. There, Bulma repairs the radar and invents a device that allows her to shrink herself so she can ride on the Nimbus. With Goku in West City, the anime adds some filler, where the Red Ribbon Army hires Husky, a genius thief, for 1 million Zenny to try and steal the Dragon Balls for them. They end up going to Dreamland, where they meet up with Yamcha, Oolong, and Puar. And this is where Husky decides to attack. She tries to trick Goku and Yamcha, pretending to be a fortune teller, who tries to divinate the fact that Goku has 2 balls. So Goku pulls down his pants to reveal his 2 balls. Husky actually planted a bomb in the park, but she's stopped by Goku and the rest. Thus, Goku and Bulma leave to find the next Dragon Ball. While searching an island, Bulma is confronted by 2 Red Ribbon scouts who threaten to do very bad things to her, but Goku takes them down. Realizing the Dragon Ball is probably deep underwater, Bulma says they need a submarine. They borrow one from Master Roshi, and Krillin joins the search. At the same time, General Blue, one of the best Red Ribbon Army members, is ordered by Commander Red to retrieve the Dragon Balls. He's a powerful foe with psychic skills. He's told about Silver and White's failure, and makes it clear that he will not repeat those mistakes. We're shown just how ruthless he is, since he executes a soldier for picking his nose. Blue sends out a scout, who locates the submarine and traces it back to Kame House. Seeing Master Roshi, Blue thinks that this must be the genius inventor of the Dragon Radar, sending out a squad to Kame House, while him and his men go after Goku. But of course, this fails, with Master Roshi in launch defeating Captain Dark and his squad. Blue finds them in his giant sub, trying to shoot them down. But when this doesn't work, he goes into the cave himself, on a smaller submarine. Goku, Bulma, and Krillin enter an underwater pirate cave. Inside, they go through traps, defeat a pirate robot, and Goku fights a giant octopus, while being hunted down by Blue and his men. Blue can easily keep up with them, but he loses many men along the way. He survives an attack from an electric eel by crushing it with his hands. General Blue's forces also overhear Bulma talking about the possibility of a buried treasure, so he plans on taking that back to Red, alongside the Dragon Balls. The anime also adds a funny scene of Red getting told all about this, while getting a portrait painted, one that depicts him as much taller than he is, while Black is just a runt, and finally catches up to Krillin and Bulma, while Goku is separated. Bulma tries to seduce him, but Blue is gay, so it doesn't work. Blue then uses his telekinetic abilities to paralyze Krillin and nearly kills him, when Goku suddenly arrives and battles Blue. Although Goku actually does really well, Blue gets the upper hand by paralyzing him too, but a small mouse comes up to Blue, terrifying him and making him run away. This allows Goku, the mouse, and the others to escape. Oh, and Goku also found the 3-star ball. The anime also adds a scene where, after escaping the cave, Goku and the others enter one of Blue's bases. The Red Ribbon HQ calls it, since they can see in their radar that the Dragon Balls are at Blue's location. But Goku just messes with the microphone and shuts it down, and so they leave by stealing a Red Ribbon ship. While Blue swims back up, and kills the one soldier that was left because he couldn't stand up to Goku and the others. At Kame House, Launch steals a diamond Krillin found in the cave, leaving the island. There, Blue uses his psychic skills to bind Goku, Krillin, Bulma, Master Roshi, and Turtle with a rope, planting a bomb before leaving with the Dragon Balls. Thankfully, Launch sneezed, returning back with her blue hair, untying Goku, who kicks the bomb away just in time, and uses the Dragon Radar to quickly chase after Blue on the flying Nimbus. The chase leads them to Penguin Village, the home of Dr. Slump, Akira Toriyama's first giant hit in Japan. As we jump into a crossover, Blue actually manages to knock down Goku by using his thrusters, but he just crashes, while Goku lands close to Arale, Senbei's robotic daughter, and her gotcha and angel alien brothers. Dr. Slump is kinda weird. Blue harasses the locals trying to find a plane, and when Superman tries to stop him, Blue just throws a phone booth and scares him, so Superman gives him his car, and points him towards Senbei Norimaki, who may actually have a plane. There's also a pretty weird filler-only scene where a Botchaman, another little robot kid, stops by and helps Blue with a car, and the anime decides to make Blue a predator. When the police comes by Blue, he just steals their car instead, but Arale crashes into him and destroys the car, and then scares him off with poop. Unwilling to give up, Blue finally finds Goku at Senbei's place, where he's trying to get the Dragon Radar fixed, but Blue shows up to steal it and the Dragon Balls by paralyzing Goku. Arale sends him flying away. Goku's able to keep the Dragon Balls, but Blue stole the radar. So the genius little brother, Turbo, remakes the Dragon Radar out of plain parts. Blue contacts the Red Ribbon Army headquarters to report his failures, and he starts heading back to base. Meanwhile, close to the lands of Korin, Captain Yellow's forces have finally found the 4-star ball in a volcano, but when it erupts, it sends the Dragon Ball flying to the home of the Karenga tribe, protectors of Korin Tower. It's found by Bora and Upa, who are attacked by Captain Yellow and his forces. Bora pierces through one of the soldiers with a spear, sticking him into a tree. Captain Yellow uses his plane to kidnap Upa, using him as ransom to get the Dragon Ball, but Goku appears just in time to rescue Upa and defeat Captain Yellow. With Yellow's defeat, Red now has no option but to hire Tao Pai Pai, and as a thank you for rescuing his son, Goku gets the 4-star Dragon Ball from Bora. Meanwhile, General Blue returns to the Red Ribbon HQ. Commander Red can't take any more of Goku, and hires the assassin Tao Pai Pai to take care of him. Tao usually charges 100 million zeni per victim, but since it's his 20th anniversary as an assassin, he's having a 50% off sale. Before Tao departs, Blue shows up with a Dragon Radar, but this is too little too late for Red, who decides to execute him. But he'll give him one more chance. If he's able to defeat Tao, then he'll get to live. And in one of the coolest displays of power in the entire series, Tao kills General Blue with just his tongue. Tao then travels to the sacred lands of Korin by launching himself atop a pillar. Bora tries to defend Goku and his son, but is killed by Tao using his own spear. Goku challenges Tao, but is defeated. His Kamehameha did little damage, and Tao's Dodonpa knocked him down. Believing the boy to be dead, Tao leaves with the Dragon Balls, but the 4-star ball around Goku's neck actually absorbed the attack and saved his life. While Tao gets his clothes fixed, offering a free assassination in exchange, Goku wakes up. In the anime, a Red Ribbon soldier was sent to collect the final Dragon Ball left behind by Tao, since they all think Goku is dead, but he wakes up just in time and defeats the soldier. So now it's up to Tao to go back, learning from Upa about Korin Tower, the sacred structure said to grant great power to anyone who reaches the top and drinks the holy water. Goku begins to climb, swearing to defeat Tao and avenging Bora. Once there, he trains under Master Korin, learning to move better, eating a senzu bean for the first time, and growing stronger. He eventually catches Korin and drinks the water, only to learn that the training to get it was what really made him strong. The anime also adds some weird scenes of Tao Pai Pai getting hunted down by locals, and him killing them with his slipper, and others of him staying in a hotel and eating eggs in the bath. The next day, Tao's clothes are ready, but when the clerk doesn't accept a free assassination, Tao just kills him too. He heads back to the lands of Korin, but this time the fight is different. Goku blocks the Dodonpa and overwhelms Tao. In filler, Tao even climbs Korin Tower himself. Upon looking into the water jars, Tao is hunted by the images of those he killed. But Korin gives him fake water and a fake Nimbus that drops him on his head. When it's clear that he can't win, Tao fakes a surrender, only to throw a grenade. But Goku kicks it back at him, killing Tao, or so it seems. With Tao Pai Pai defeated and Bora avenged, Goku speeds off to put an end to the Red Ribbon Army for good. We also see that the army has a golf course, and that Red makes Black get down to his level when clapping for him, and that his golf cart has a booster seat. In the anime, we get a small adventure where Colonel Violet gets the final Dragon Ball from a jungle, and she's chased down by natives. She's actually one of the few successful members to actually bring a Dragon Ball back safely, though she only appears in the manga for a couple panels. Meanwhile, Bulma realizes that Goku is heading directly towards the Red Ribbon HQ, thanks to a separate radar she made, creating a camera scout to track him down, and getting it destroyed when he gets too close to the base. She contacts Yamcha and the others so they can go help Goku alongside the Kame House crew. As Goku inches closer to the Red Ribbon army, at first they mistake him for Tao Pai Pai returning, but then Goku starts blowing everything up, until making it into the base itself. He tears through everything and everyone with little resistance, destroying towers, killing soldiers, and more. In the anime, during the assault, Colonel Violet is shown as one of the only ones to escape, stealing a ton of things from the army. She also nearly crashes into Bulma and the others on the way out. We also know that Dr. Gero made it out alive, but we've never actually seen this. In the anime, when Goku makes it to the throne room, Red escapes and leaves his second-in-command, Black, to battle Goku instead, where Black is kicked through a window as Red activates a system to crash down the ceiling onto them. Goku and Black both survive, but Black overhears Red talking about him getting his wish to be taller. Black just kills him. In the manga, however, Red just blurs out his wish to Black himself before Goku even climbs up, and insults him for not understanding his plight, since he's already so tall. That's when Black kills him. Either way, Black becomes the new de facto leader of the Red Ribbon Army. Black offers Goku a truce, saying that they can revive Bora if Goku joins them in taking over the world. Of course, Goku refuses and beats down Black, who's forced to pull out the Battle Jacket, a mecha geared up with weapons. And although this is a harder fight for Goku, he launches himself through the Battle Jacket as it explodes in the background, finally ending the reign of the Red Ribbon Army for now. Following this, Goku's friends find him, and realize they were too late to help him, but he didn't need help anyways. In order to find the last Dragon Ball, they go through Uranai Baba's tournament. Goku briefly reunites with his grandpa, and bullies the Pilaf gang into giving up the ball. And so, the Red Ribbon Army arc ends with Goku and Upa wishing for Bora to be brought back to life. And although the army was defeated, its remnants remained in the shadows, looking for the next time to strike. As one of the main villain organizations in Dragon Ball, the Red Ribbon has appeared plenty of times outside of the main story, so let's go through some of them. In Mystical Adventure, the third Dragon Ball movie, characters and events from the Red Ribbon saga are combined with the 22nd World Tournament to turn it into a fun Elseworld story. Here, Chaozu is the Emperor of Mifan, and Tien is his bodyguard. A tournament is about to be held there, but Chaozu is more interested in finding a doll named Ranran. In reality, Minister Shen and General Tao stole it and are planning on using the Dragon Balls to take over, attacking the Pilaf gang to use their Dragon Radar. Blue is a loyal soldier to Chaozu, but ruthless, and is killed by Tao once he discovers the truth. Even Major Metallotron is in the film, and once again gets his head knocked off by Goku. In the tournament, Bora is killed by Tao during their match, so Goku swears revenge. But during their fight, Goku is sent flying into Korin Tower. Tao goes after Goku, but gets knocked off the pillar by Arale. Goku then shows up, and they defeat him together. Meanwhile, Bulma and the others try to steal the Dragon Balls, but are found out by Tsuru Sennin, barely escaping as the Dragon Balls falls into the abyss. He then orders Tien to kill Chaozu, but he can't bring himself to. When the Crane Hermit tries to do it himself, Tien tri-beams him away. At the end of the film, Goku throws the rest of the Dragon Balls into the abyss, summoning Shenron and wishing Bora back. Then there's Path to Power, the 10th anniversary movie, which retells the early parts of Dragon Ball, but replaces the Pilaf gang with the Red Ribbon, all of which have fresh designs by Toriyama. As Goku and Bulma search for the Dragon Balls, they come across Muscle Tower and the Red Ribbon Army. And no, it's not the Brick Tower this time, it's this one. Goku befriends Ader, defeats the forces, and continues on his adventure just like the original. When they meet Roshi, General Blue attacks with a fleet of warships and submarines, but Roshi destroys them all with a Kamehameha. Still, Blue is able to capture Bulma and the others, but since he didn't get the Dragon Balls, he's executed. Goku then storms storms the Red Ribbon headquarters. As he tears through the soldiers, including Violet this time, Commander Red and Officer Black retreat with the Dragon Balls. But when Black learns about Red's real wish of simply being taller, he kills Red. To stop Goku, Black deploys the army's most powerful weapon, the Battle Jacket. But this one is a lot bigger than the last one. He actually nearly kills Goku, but Eighter swoops in and saves him, sacrificing himself in the process. Seeing his friend killed, Goku explodes in rage and fires one of the best Kamehamehas in the franchise, destroying the Battle Jacket and ending the Red Ribbon Army. Goku then uses the Dragon Ball to wish Eighter back to life. In the 1997 Dr. Slump reboot, we get a flip on the crossover during the Red Ribbon Army arc. When playing around, Arale comes across Goku and the Dragon Balls. He's missing one and the radar is broken, so she takes him to Senbei to get it fixed. It's similar to the crossover in canon, but entirely from Dr. Slump's perspective. Goku ends up staying at their place for a while, even going to school, and turning into an Ozaru, so Arale has to stop him. We even see an in-between, where Kid Goku briefly goes Super Saiyan. But the Red Ribbon has been going after Goku, with Ninja Murasaki keeping a close eye on him. He comes across King Nico-chan, the alien invader from Dr. Slump, and teams up with him to get the Dragon Balls. He reports to General Blue, who is on his way. They pretend to be a doctor and nurses to get the Dragon Balls, and he even uses his brothers to battle Goku and Arale. But of course, he gets defeated and the Dragon Balls are recovered. Later, the heroes are attacked by a whole squad of Red Ribbon soldiers, as the entire village now wants the Dragon Balls. They defeat them, and when the radar is fixed, Blue finally decides to attack. He steals the Dragon Balls by paralyzing Goku, but this doesn't work on the robot girl, who kicks Blue into the mountain and blasts him into a barbershop, where he ends up with a mohawk. And so Goku finds the final Dragon Ball, but everyone in the village wants the wish, including Dr. Mashirito, the main villain of Dr. Slump, who's now a robot himself. Blue tricks him into giving him the Dragon Balls by disguising himself as an old lady with Murasaki. They're about to escape on a plane, but Goku and Arale reach them before they can escape and beat down the entire flying base, including the many battle jackets. But Blue and Murasaki escape with the Dragon Balls, summoning Shenron. When they make their wish, they say two completely different things. Blue wants his normal hair back, and Murasaki wants the Red Ribbon to take over the world. So while they argue, the heroes show up and beat them up, with Arale throwing them into the sky. The wish ends up going to the farmer, who just wanted a new tractor. Goku thanks them for everything and leaves to find the Dragon Balls again. I also want to give a small mention to this awesome Muscle Tower playset, which named the Random Soldiers. And in classic Toriyama fashion, they had some name puns. In this case, they were vegetables, meaning that years before Vegeta, we had Vegeta, though spelled slightly different. There's also carrot, onion, pump, and pote. When the Red Ribbon Army is defeated, what's left of it flees around the world. Goku used the Dragon Balls taken from there, and after a short tournament against Baba's fighters, including his own grandfather, he was able to revive Bora. According to Dragon Ball Online, the tree where Bora pierced through the Red Ribbon Soldier became a spot of legend for the Karinga tribe for many years. While Goku continued to grow stronger and travel the world, Dr. Gero retreated to a secret lab in the mountains of North City. There, hatred envelops him as he swears revenge on Goku. Sure, Red was the face of the army, but Gero handled its machinations in the background and lost just as much because of it. However, he needed funding for his plans and knew exactly who to ask. Magenta, Commander Red's son, had the money he needed. Not only that, but the pharmaceutical front for the army, Red Pharmaceuticals, remained standing. Despite the army's fall, Magenta ran it like a real company, but with dark intentions in the background. Thus, he funded all of Gero's experiments in androids. Meanwhile, Tao Pai Pai returned. He's not really part of the army anymore, but I'll mention him here and there, since he is connected to them. He was saved and turned into a cyborg, seeking revenge on Goku at the 23rd World Tournament, alongside his brother, the Great Hermit. He wins over Chaozu, but only gets one slash across Tien's chest before being defeated. Many headcanon the idea that Gero was the one to rebuild Tao, but no official sources has ever said this, but it's not impossible. Video games like Dragon Ball Z Kakarot also show that Gero's machines would often cause chaos on Earth, based on the battle jackets flying around. Gohan also discovers leftover bases similar to Muscle Tower. Eighter even meets up with Goku again, and gets his help to stop the malfunctioning robots. And we can even find ex-Red Ribbon soldiers living life as normal civilians, in Attack of the Saiyans, during the training before the Saiyan attack, and during the collection of the Dragon Balls. It's revealed that General White survived, and has taken Eighter captive to use as a weapon in muzzle tower. Goku comes back from the dead temporarily to help out, defeating White and the brainwashed Tater. But again, this is just in the games. Video games also have other adventures with Tao Pai Pai, like Attack of the Saiyans, where Master Shen kidnaps Chaozu and uses a robot Tao Pai Pai EX to battle the heroes, and in Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, where Tao and his brother cause trouble, like attempting to run a protection scam on Chi-Chi, claiming they can defend Goku's home from dangerous monsters in the area, so Gohan deals with it himself. And in the 23rd World Tournament DLC, Tao and Shen start kidnapping people to get ransom money to rebuild the Crane School, specifically using the Tao Pai Pai machines. But again, this is just the games. In order to gather the data needed for his creations, Gero resorted to spying on Goku and the others. He created a tiny bug-shaped spy system that would collect information about the warriors, their abilities, and more. This data would inform the development of new androids. It witnessed many battles, including the 22nd and 23rd World Tournaments, the battles against King Piccolo, and the Saiyan invasion. But just like before, nearly every android he created was a complete failure. In the manga, every android until 16 was a failure and destroyed, though 13, 14, and 15 were getting close. We'll talk more about them later on. In some filler shots in the anime, we can see prototype androids, many of which appear in games as enemies. Either way, the failed androids were destroyed, but extended media has given us a bit more of a look at these. For example, in Dragon Ball Online, a discontinued MMO that only came out in Asia and was supervised by Akira Toriyama, it's revealed that the first of Gero's androids after the fall of the army was number 9, a robotic replica of Commander Red, but as a giant robot. He too was discarded. A different take on Android 9 shows up in the official comedic manga Dragon Ball SD, where Gero uses him to attack Goku while he tries to kidnap 18 and 17 as kids. He's modeled after Akiyo Iyoku, the producer of the Dragon Ball franchise, though obviously this is a joke. I'll cover more androids that appear in other stories later on. In his grief, Dr. Gero created one of his most successful projects, Android 16, a fully mechanical android with great power and an explosive device. He was modeled after Gevo, Gero's son, but because he didn't want to see him get destroyed in battle, Gero gave him a gentle personality. This ultimately deemed the android a failure though, and his programming was never fully finished. He remained in his capsule, untouched, with the only goal implemented into him being that of killing Goku. At some point, Dr. Gero becomes aware of two delinquents, a pair of twins named Lapis and Lazuli. We actually see a version of this in Dragon Ball SD, where Gero tries to kidnap 17 and 18 when they're kids. But the timeline doesn't really match up, since this is during Goku's training with Master Roshi. This is where the Iyoku version of Android 9 shows up. I just wanted to add this little fact, since it's a rare glimpse at a completely human 17 and 18. He kidnapped and experimented on them, becoming the first androids of their kind. Numbers 17 and 18 were entirely human to begin with, and were only modified at a cellular level to become superhuman cyborgs. This means that they can train and get stronger, even have kids, though they don't get tired nor need to eat, only hydrate. The only mechanical parts within them are the self-destruct bomb, the infinite energy reactor, and the emergency deactivation device. Still, because of their humanity, Gero had even more trouble than normal in keeping them in check. They were rebellious and hated their creator. He deactivated them because of this. Gero also began a secret project in an underground lab. By combining the DNA of various fighters, Gero would be able to create the ultimate android using biotechnology to grow him from the ground up. This project was left up to his supercomputer, as his spy bug continued to collect DNA from heroes to implement into the new android. Meanwhile, Gero turned his attention to what would become his most successful android, number 19. Remember the doll I mentioned earlier, which Dr. Gero stole as a trophy from an enemy base? Well, this doll served as the model for Android 19. After the failure of 17 and 18, Gero went back to creating fully mechanical androids, this time using an absorption mechanism implemented at the palm of their hands, with 19's help, and in order to make himself immortal, Dr. Gero created an android body. 19 helped him transfer his brain into it, becoming android number 20, with abilities similar to 19. Dragon Ball FighterZ explains that he had other hidden labs as well, with another supercomputer developing a new project, Android 21, using Gero's deceased wife as a basis, attempting to create an even greater warrior than Cell would become. But this project would not be completed for many years. With everything set, they were ready to make themselves known to the world and defeat Son Goku. But this wasn't the same in every timeline. For this, we need to look into a darker future. In an alternate timeline, Goku dies from a heart virus on age 766. Without Goku as a goal, Dr. Gero was still developing the androids. He finished 17 and 18, though even in this timeline, they kill him. With all that power and none of the responsibility, nor a goal, the twins begin attacking Earth, showing up May 12th at 10 AM on an island 9 miles southwest of South City. The Z fighters try to defend the world, but are taken out one by one. Gohan escapes the battle site, attempting to find the Dragon Balls to use them before Piccolo dies. He's picked up by Bulma, as they realize that the Dragon Balls are already being gathered. But when they get there, Pilaf had already used them to wish for youth. As the Dragon Balls are about to spread, Piccolo is killed by the androids, and they become inactive. The order and characters killed by the androids is a bit different between the versions. This is noteworthy because Dragon Ball Super would later show Yajirobe as having survived. Over the next several years, Gohan would be the last remaining Z warrior, leaving his home to live on his own and train, occasionally challenging the androids but losing every time, despite achieving Super Saiyan. 17 and 18 rampaged for years, while Bulma tried to develop a plan to stop this madness. By age 780, her and Vegeta's son, Trunks, grew up with a strong sense of justice, being trained by Gohan when possible. In a special illustrated story by the anime staff, Trunks even visits Chi-Chi's home and gets inspired by Goku and the others. In filler, we see that Gohan already has his scars, despite still having an arm, and we see a younger sword-wielding Trunks fighting alongside Gohan against the androids. In episode 139, we see a bunch of other sword-wielding warriors dressed similarly to Trunks. I guess this implies that there were other warriors that did this? It's also important to note that in this timeline, it doesn't seem like Gero turned himself into an android, and didn't even develop 19 at all. After all, Trunks has no idea of that android when he returns from the future. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The video game Dragon Ball Z Kakarot tries to expand on the future a bit, like showing Red Ribbon scouting drones who alert the androids, and showing a bit more of regular people dealing with the androids, like Chi-Chi getting attacked by Red Ribbon robots, and Master Roshi trying to talk down Android 18 because the shipping company Bulma used to get resources for Roshi shut down because of the attacks. Android 17 finds this so amusing that he tells his sister to just let him go. But that's just an extra glimpse at the expanded sources. In the anime special version of the story, years after the fall of the Z Fighters, Androids 17 and 18 roam freely, using the Earth as their own playground. By age 780, more than half the population of Earth has been destroyed. We first see them attacking Purple City, where they completely destroy it. During the rampage, 17 destroys a shop, which just makes 18 mad. Then 17 just drives around destroying things, and running over people. The android's next attack is an amusement park. Future Gohan and Trunks confront the androids, and although Gohan does okay against one, he doesn't stand a chance against 18. Gohan and Trunks try to hide, but the androids respond by carpet bombing the entire area. Gohan loses his arm in the process, and passes out, giving Trunks a senzu bean. We then see them at Pepper Town. Gohan knocks out Trunks, knowing this may be his final battle, and confronts them. He does alright, but quickly the androids gain the upper hand, and kill him in the rain. Upon finding his master dead, Trunks finally achieves Super Saiyan. In the manga version of the Trunks special, Trunks is shown to have already achieved Super Saiyan when training with Gohan, who has already lost his arm. When Gohan challenges the androids, 17 explains that he had only been using half his power this entire time, cutting away to Trunks finding Gohan dead. Either way, 3 years later, on age 783, Trunks tries to fight them using a sword, but the next thing he knows, he wakes up in a hospital bed. With no other choice, he agrees to go to the past and give Goku the heart medicine, hoping to change the future. In the present timeline, when Frieza and his father showed up to Earth to get revenge on Goku, future Trunks arrived to stop them, waiting with the Z Fighters for Goku. He then revealed to him just what the future held, 17 and 18 attacking and dooming the world. In the original version of this chapter, Trunks actually warned about 19 and 20. Toriyama originally planned on them being the true villains. It's a long story, but his old editor complained about how lame they were. And the same thing happened with 17 and 18 later on. And so we landed on Cell. Anyways, Trunks gives Goku the heart medicine and tells him to prepare, because in 3 years, the androids will attack an island. He promised to come back when the time was right, and left. Gero, Spybug, collected data on everyone until Goku and the others left for Namek, although the DNA collected for Cell continued for a while longer, since he ends up with DNA of King Cold and Frieza. Gero himself, though, has no idea about Super Saiyan. In those 3 years, Gero prepares to finally make his move with Android 19. In age 767, May 12th, at 10 a.m. on an island 9 miles southwest of South City, androids number 19 and 20 attack. The Z fighters arrived just before. Even Bulma's there with her newly born Trunks. The warriors jump down to investigate. However, because the androids don't have ki, the androids terrorize the whole town, passing by Peter Griffin, snatching people out of cars and breaking their necks. Yamcha is the first one to be found by the androids, who realize that he is not Goku by using their data, showing his name, address, height, special ability, and even the fact that he likes to collect Strata's model kits. When Yamcha spots them, he yells out to his friends, only to be shut up by Gero wrapping his hand around his mouth and absorbing his energy, piercing through his chest. All the while, panic erupts and flames engulf the city. This alerts the others to his location. Krillin takes Yamcha out of there, while Goku, Piccolo, and Tien confront Gero. Goku yells at Gero to move somewhere empty, only for Gero to blast what's left of the island with his eye beams. Goku punches Gero across the face to reveal his brain capsule beneath his hat. Realizing this really is Goku, the androids accept to move the fight. All the while, Yamcha explains how he felt his energy being absorbed to Krillin and the others, having recovered from a senzu bean. The androids choose a rocky location where they could possibly hide. Goku wants to get this all over with, but Tien notices that he's out of breath. Gero explains how his robotic spy bug collected info on everyone over the years, speaking as if he's Gero himself, but he insists that the real Gero died long ago. He has been reborn as number 20, clearly having gone insane from his obsession. But his explanations reveal that he actually did not make it to Namek, with the element of surprise, and wanting to end things quickly. As the heart virus advances, Goku bursts into Super Saiyan and takes on Android 19. He's doing fine at first, but when he tried to finish the android off with a Kamehameha, 19 simply absorbs it. Soon after, he falls on the ground holding his chest, and 19 takes his chance to take even more of his energy. Just then, Android 19 is kicked away from Goku. Vegeta has arrived, showing off his newly acquired Super Saiyan transformation. Piccolo also realizes that Trunks' arrival must have changed things in the timeline, since the prediction about the heart virus was way off. Vegeta easily takes down 19, overcoming the absorption by ripping his arms off and blowing him apart with the Big Bang attack. Realizing he's at a disadvantage, Gero retreats back to his lab, hiding between rock formations. Vegeta tries to destroy the area, but 20 absorbs the attack and runs away. He sneaks up on Piccolo and tries to absorb his energy, but Piccolo telepathically contacts Gohan, who saves him. Piccolo used this to draw out Gero and start beating him down, slicing his arm clean off. Gero hadn't realized that the Z fighters could manipulate their energy like that. At the same time, future Trunks returns from the future, finding Android 19's head. This wasn't one of the androids he fought in the future. At the battle site, everyone is terrified and confused at what's happening. Then who the hell is this? But Gero finds an opening when Bulma flies overhead to see what's going on, blasting at her and escaping, while Trunks saves his mom and himself. Krillin is the one to locate Gero, charging up his ki to alert everyone else. When he finally arrives at his lab, Gero activates androids 17 and 18 as his final desperate attempt to defeat the Z fighters. His super advanced door is too much for the heroes. Not wanting to be deactivated again, 17 steals the remote and crushes it just as Vegeta blasts the doors off. These were the real androids Trunks warned them about. 18 sees Android 16's capsule, toying with the idea of releasing him, but Gero freaks out. In response, 17 kills his creator. Knowing that if they set that android free, it'll be the end of all of them, Trunks destroys the entire lab, but the androids come out without a single scratch, freeing Android 16, another android who was never activated in the future timeline. He's even more powerful than the other two, and completely artificial, but with a kind personality and a care for nature. His only goal is to kill Goku, and isn't interested in fighting anyone else. Well, that is the goal all the androids share, but 17 and 18 aren't as serious about it. Vegeta challenges 18 to a fight, but it quickly becomes clear that he doesn't stand a chance once 18 breaks his arm, with Trunks even getting his sword destroyed, and Vegeta his other arm broken. Before they leave, 17 tells Krillin to give everyone a senzu bean. 17 would ask where Goku is, but it's more fun to find out themselves. Krillin tries to find out exactly what they want, but 17 explains that this is all just a game for them. And before leaving, 18 kisses Krillin on the cheek. Once they wake, Trunks tells the others that the androids in his future weren't nearly as strong, nor as forgiving. When Piccolo goes to Kami's to merge with them, Goku is moved away to Kame House, so the androids don't find him easily. 17 insists on stealing a car for fun, rather than flying, so they steal a Lucky Foot truck. In the anime only, they get harassed on the road by the Invincibles, Lord Lords of the Highway, but 17 crashes against them and leads them straight into a train. They eventually start breaking the truck, and the androids have no choice but to get out of the car and scare them off. They're found by the police and arrested, but they throw the police car in the mountains and escape. Goku is having nightmares about the androids as he recovers, including one where his friends and family are killed by 17 and 18, despite never actually seeing them yet. While taking Goku to Kame House, Bulma calls the other Z fighters and tells them that someone found a deserted capsule core vehicle overrun by moss in the west. Trunks, Gohan, and Bulma go to check it out, and it turns out to be the same time machine, as evidenced by the hope on the side. The top had been blown off, and an egg set inside. The time machine came from age 788, 3 years after Trunks' own time, yet it arrived 4 years prior. They then come across the husk of some kind of animal. The androids, in the meantime, stop by a town so that 18 can get a new set of clothes. She steals a cowgirl outfit and blows away the police that comes after them. As Bulma goes back home, news reports show that whole cities are disappearing, leaving nothing but their clothes behind. At the lookout, Kami senses a terrible presence below. He agrees to fuse with Piccolo. The nameless Namekian descends down to Ginger Town to confront the time traveler. He finds a monster about to absorb his last victim, a rich man who offers Piccolo money for his safety, but is absorbed nonetheless. The time machine, the energy, and cities going missing are all the result of none other than Cell, the project Dr. Gero's computer had been developing. It wasn't until years into the future that he was completed. Episode 164 also shows anime-only scenes of Cell's birth in the future, how he went around absorbing people, and how Earthlings tried to fight him off with conventional weapons. He went all over the world looking for 17 and 18, but could never find them. Cell killed future Trunks and stole his time machine. Being too tall for the time machine, he reverted back to his larva form and slowly developed again into his first form. Now he's going around absorbing humans to slowly build up his power. He was created from the cells of several beings, including some insects and animals, but most importantly, Vegeta, Piccolo, Goku, Frieza, and King Cold. He mentions that he could have gotten Trunks' cells, but they had more than enough DNA from the Saiyans. That's it for the manga, but the anime has Cell use techniques from other Z fighters, and implies more heavily that he has DNA from them too. Toriyama also clarified that Cell's personality also comes from a bunch of different people. At this point, I want to take a second to explain the timelines, since there is more than just the two people normally talk about. Officially, at this point in the story, there are 4 important timelines. Timeline 1 is the one we follow for the entire series, the one which Trunks comes back to, and eventually moves on to the Buu Saga. Timeline 2 is future Trunks' timeline, where the world has been messed up by the androids. Timeline 3 is the one Cell comes from, a timeline where an alternate future Trunks went back to the past, got the deactivation remote, and returned to his timeline to kill the androids. Cell then killed him and stole his time machine. Then there's Timeline 4, the timeline this alternate, now dead, future Trunks went to, gave the heart medicine to Goku, and got the remote from. A Cell still shows up there eventually, but since Trunks is dead, he does not show back up, and we don't know anything about that beyond it. This specifically comes from the Daisenshu timeline, though in the fandom not everybody agrees with this or is super happy with it, but that's a video for another day. Cell and Piccolo battle in the destroyed city. When Cell powers up, even the androids can feel a change in the air, though only 16 knows that it's 2 powers fighting each other, and we find out that he's also equipped with a radar. Piccolo lets himself get his arm absorbed so that Cell will give him more information. In the anime, we also see that a set of tanks arrive, only to get destroyed by Cell. As he explains his backstory, he points out the bug collecting data, so Piccolo destroys it. Cell also reveals that Dr. Gero had a secret lab where Cell and the supercomputer laid, only the Z fighters hadn't discovered it yet. Surprised by the fact that Cell could use the Kamehameha, or even the Spirit Bomb, after finding out that Goku was still alive, Cell uses the solar flare to escape. In the anime only, he comes by the outskirts of Nikki Town, where a Battle Ball team bus crashes upon seeing him. They put up a surprisingly good fight, but end up all getting killed and absorbed. He then goes to that same city. Trunks and Krillin go to find Gero's hidden lab, so they can stop the present timeline Cell development. They find a door under rubble and locate his supercomputer still active and working on Cell, who is nothing but an embryo at the moment. Before destroying the lab, Trunks finds the blueprints and specs for Android 17, taking them with him, so that Bulma would help them find a weakness. At Capsule Corp, Krillin gives Dr. Briefs and Bulma the plans, beginning the development of a shutdown device. The anime adds more of Cell's rampage too, Basel Airport begins to be attacked by Cell. One officer tries to fight back, but the bullets do nothing to Cell. Krillin appears out of nowhere to save a brother and a sister from the monster, helping them escape on a plane. Cell's about to kill Krillin, but he senses Tien and Piccolo approaching, so he flees the scene instead. At the same time, the androids continue to drive. 18 destroys an entire forest to clear the way, which upsets 17. Yamcha gets the idea to go after Cell on a plane, so that he won't attack their ki, but soon after they leave, Goku finally wakes up from recovery. He teleports to all his friends and tells them his plan. As it is now, he can't beat the androids nor Cell, but the Lookout has the Room of Spirit and Time, where one day is a whole year. They'll train there and go beyond the Super Saiyan barrier. Episode 170 of the anime has filler that explains that Cell also terrorized Chashke village, a place in the middle of the forest where Cell absorbed many of its people. Lime and Mr. Lau are amongst the survivors. Rumors started to spread that Cell doesn't attack the same place twice, so people from the cities began to run to the shelter by Chashke village. The androids finally reach Goku's home, but without him there, 18 just makes the place a mess and steals things. They realize that the next place he could be is probably Kame House. In the anime, the next spot Cell attacks is an amusement park with a house of mirrors, always one step ahead of our heroes. While Vegeta and Trunks enter the time chamber, the androids finally show up at Kame House. Piccolo tells them that Goku isn't there, but now is the chance to put an end to things. He challenges 17, flying off to a distant island to battle. 17 is clearly surprised by Piccolo's new power, but it won't be an easy victory. When Piccolo uses the Hellzone grenade and 17 protects himself within the android barrier, the battle finally draws the attention of Cell, who was absorbing more people in a nearby city. Piccolo realizes that these androids don't actually know about Gero's plan for Cell and yells at them to escape. But 17 insists on fighting. Cell is much stronger than before, having absorbed many more people. Piccolo destroys half the island to try and save 17, but Cell nearly kills him with a single attack. 16 resigns to help out, despite the fact that he doesn't want to hurt nature. He tells 18 that he loved their time together as he walks to Cell. The bio-android can't absorb 16 because he's fully mechanical, and 16 actually pushes him back. It seems like he could win, using his ultimate attack, the Hell Flash, to keep him down. He yells at the androids to run, but Cell sneaks behind 17 and finally absorbs him, and thus Cell has reached his second form. Now, 16 doesn't stand a chance and gets half his face destroyed. 18 threatens to blow herself up. Cell tries to convince her to join him using 17's voice, but blows his chance when he calls their creator Dr. Gero-sama, when her brother hated him. In an attempt to buy time, Tien yells at 18 to run and fires multiple Shin Kiko-hos at Cell, actually slowing him down severely. 16 and 18 get away, and Tien runs out of energy. But before Cell can kill him, Goku teleports in and rescues Tien and Piccolo, telling Cell to give him one more day and leaves to the Lookout. Krillin then meets Bulma halfway, getting the deactivation remote and going after 18 to destroy her before Cell can reach his perfect form. Trunks and Vegeta also walk out of the time chamber, heading off to Cell, while Goku and Gohan enter in their place. Cell starts blowing up islands one by one, and just when he's about to find 18, Vegeta speeds in. He's gone beyond Super Saiyan with Super Vegeta. Cell doesn't stand a chance. While they fight, Krillin and Trunks arrive and watch as Vegeta slowly warms up to the idea of letting Cell absorb 18. Then he'd be a real challenge, and flies down to get close enough to 18 for the remote to work. But he struggles internally with his choice. They hadn't done anything as bad as what Trunks described, and don't deserve to die. And, of course, 18 kissed him. But Vegeta has made his choice to allow Cell through. The androids see Krillin as he drops the remote and destroys it, yelling at 18 to escape. But as Trunks gets in the way of Cell, the bio-android turns and finally sees 18. 16, Krillin and Trunks try to stop him, but it's useless. Trunks even fights his dad. In the end, 18 makes her final stand and is absorbed. Trunks tries to stop the transformation, but is blown back. Perfect Cell can ignore any attack they throw at him like it's nothing. Trunks gives Krillin a sensu bean to recover from a kick from Cell, while Vegeta loses his composure at seeing just how much stronger Cell has become. Frustrated, Vegeta rises to the sky and fires a massive final flash that takes out half of Cell's body. The perfect android acts hurt, only to regenerate. Once Vegeta is knocked down by Cell, Trunks has no option but to go all out. and ascend into Super Saiyan Grade 3. Trunks' massive power is very impressive, giving Krillin time to save Vegeta, but Cell shows Trunks the flaws in the new state, how it's so heavy and slow, and that even he himself can use it, but knows better, and ends up beating Trunks so bad that he begs for Cell to kill him. But instead, Cell has a better idea. Goku said that he'd be ready to beat him in a day, so Cell will give them some time to prepare as he organizes the Cell Games. Before we continue on to the Cell Games proper, we need to talk about some extra adventures. See, while the Android arc was airing, we got a new Dragon Ball movie, Super Battle of the Three Great Super Saiyans, known over here simply as Super Android 13. This film takes place in a weird spot that doesn't really fit into the main story, since it happens after Goku wakes up, but before anyone enters the time chamber. The Daisenshu clarifies that this just takes place in an alternate dimension. Still, it's an interesting entry into the mythos of the Red Ribbon Army, focusing on androids 13 through 15, all designed by Akira Toriyama himself. The movie opens with a recreation of Android 17 killing Gero, and while his blood drips below, we learn that his supercomputer is still running, even after his death. It continues the Red Ribbon programming in the background, finishing 3 new models, 13, 14, and 15, fueled by pure hatred. And so, in the city, Goku is out with the crew shopping and hanging out. Their day is interrupted mid-meal when 14 and 15 show up in the city to try and kill Goku. He orders Gohan to get Chi-Chi somewhere safe and has Krillin help evacuate civilians. Trunks joins in and urges Goku to get the fight away from the city, as they realize that they can't sense their energy, so they must be androids. In the tundra, Goku and Trunks clash with the 2 androids, plus a new one appears, 13. He takes Goku on directly, while Trunks is forced to deal with 14 and 15 together. Krillin holds back Gohan, saying that their power is too much to fight them. Vegeta arrives from a mountain of ice. The namesake of the movie kicks in. The 3 great Super Saiyans awaken, and Piccolo shows up too. Trunks slices Android 14 clean in half, and Vegeta takes 15's head off. But before their victory is secured, the battery and chips from the destroyed androids attach themselves to 13 and transform him into Super Android 13. He easily starts to beat the warriors, even punching Goku in the Dragon Balls. With everyone getting overwhelmed, Goku raises his hands up to the sky for a Genki-dama, gathering the energy he needs, while his friends buy him time. But, as Krillin explains, the darkness Super Saiyan brings to Goku's heart causes the Spirit Bomb to crumble in on itself, and instead, Goku absorbs it into his body. With his energy, Goku punches straight through 13 and destroys him. With the 3 androids gone, Gero's supercomputer finally shuts down for good. Another special story taking place prior to the Cell Games is Gather Together, Goku's World, a game for the Terebiko video game console, which kids could play using a telephone peripheral to answer trivia questions. It centers around Trunks, Goku, and the others traveling back in time and looking at the history of Dragon Ball. The involvement of the Red Ribbon Army comes in once the heroes return to the present, and Master Roshi reveals that 17 and 18 have been absorbed by Cell in their absence. Now Cell has reached his perfect form, and it's up to them to stop him. They find Cell, have us guess what his final form looks like, find the real one amongst the multiform technique, and Goku finishes him off with a single punch. A punch so scary that Cell just flees and swears revenge. Kinda weird, but yay, we won! There's also a true plan to eradicate the Saiyans. You're probably familiar with the remake for Raging Blast 2. It doesn't really have anything to do with the androids, besides the fact that it takes place during the 10 Days of Peace. But you do have a chance to find Tao Pai Pai having taken over an oil rig. But that's pretty much it. Anyways, back to the main story. Cell is a martial artist at heart and loves a good challenge. He no longer cares about killing Goku. He just wants to see the phases of terror. Thus, he leaves to prepare. Krillin leaves Android 16 with Bulma and Dr. Briefs for repair. They discover that 16 is totally different from 17's schematics, since he doesn't have a human base. They also find that he has a bomb powerful enough to blow up Earth, and decide to remove it without telling him. All the while, Cell levels a whole area to create his ring. He then makes his way through the city, breaking into ZTV Station, revealing himself to the world as the monster who killed 15,000 people in Gingertown and many more, in order to announce before the whole world that the Cell Games are about to begin, inviting any warrior brave enough to take him down. The location of the arena is at 28 KS5, and the rules are similar to the actual tournament. If you get ringed out, you're out, and, well, if you're killed, you're out too, though he does plan on holding back at first. If every fighter is defeated, then Cell will kill everyone on the planet. Interestingly, the original printing of the chapter had Cell announced the games will take place on May 17th, but the Daisenshu, and later the Kanzenban release of the manga, changes it to take place on the 26th, which lines up better with the amount of time that passes. He destroys the whole city behind him and departs. This announcement causes chaos across the entire world, as humans don't believe in their heroes. They had forgotten about Son Goku, who currently is perfecting Super Saiyan in the Time Chamber, and realizes that Gohan is hiding even deeper power. A lot of the world's population start to flee cities, as Cell just starts trolling humanity. Goku also visits Cell in the 9 days before the Cell games, laying eyes on the perfect android for the first time. They size each other up, clearly looking forward to their match. The anime also has a whole sequence of Cell inadvertently saving Earth from a bunch of asteroids, testing out Frieza's abilities. More filler around the time shows the effects of Cell's announcement, like the previously mentioned Chasuke village, where city folk have escaped to its bunker. Gohan goes there for groceries, and helps the locals against some gangsters, and even Cyborg Tao. In another scene, KBC TV goes to interview Cell, covered in protective gear that will clearly not help, including a fire extinguisher as a backblink. They ask if he's an alien, his true goals for the Cell games, and Cell just kicks him away and blasts the camera crew. The King of Earth also pleads with the population to remain calm, and he sends out the army to attack Cell. Goku hears the news while driving, but Cell is unscathed no matter what they throw at him, and he destroys them in one swipe. Realizing that everyone who has been killed needs to return back to life, Goku goes to New Namek to get Dende as the new god of Earth, so they can get new Dragon Balls. He then collects them, even meeting Tao Pai Pai again. One of the only fighters willing to face off against Cell is Mr. Satan, the recent winner of the 24th Tenkaichi Budokai, with humanity putting their hopes on his shoulders. And so, the day of the Cell games arrived. At the site of the Cell games, a ZTV reporter and his camera crew show the whole world the arrival of the heroes. First up is Mr. Satan, and then the Z-Warriors arrive one by one. Neither Mr. Satan nor the reporter can believe what they see. Flying, weird hair, pajamas. Even 16, who now sports a Capsule Corp sticker over the Red Ribbon logo, shows up. Goku tries to shake his hand, but 16 reminds him that he was created to kill him. The anime adds quite a bit of filler where Mr. Satan's students, Karoni and Piroski, arrive to challenge Cell, but they're both easily defeated. Finally, Mr. Satan steps in, shows off by breaking some tiles, rushes at Cell and strikes him with all his might, only to get slapped away into a mountain. With that, Goku steps into the ring. Cell is a little disappointed that the best fight will come first, but they waste no time, fighting all over the arena and the sky. The anime even adds Cell using multiform technique. At one point, Goku uses the instant transmission to dodge a Kamehameha, which makes Cell very interested in the technique. But it's obvious that the arena is restricting the epicness of the fight, so Cell gets rid of the ring out rule by blowing up the arena. Android 16 defends Mr. Satan and his friends, telling them to leave. One of the key moments happens when Goku uses an instant transmission Kamehameha against Cell, blowing up the top half of his body, but Cell stands right back up and regenerates. Although he later explains that he can regenerate as long as the cell in his brain is intact, this is clearly not true. He can regenerate from a cluster of cells. As the fight continues, the two warriors wear themselves out, but eventually Goku steps down, giving up the battle. No one can believe it, especially Cell, who had foreseen this as his ultimate challenge. Goku announces that there's only one challenger for him: Gohan. The boy doesn't think he's the right pick, but it's up to him, the son of the Red Ribbon's vengeance, and the son of the man who destroyed the Red Ribbon. Goku then throws a senzu bean at Cell, thinking that it's only fair to have Gohan have the full experience. Plus, he's completely confident in Gohan. Cell is impressed once Gohan powers up, but Gohan refuses to show his true power, which frustrates Cell. The anime also has some filler where the army once again gets ready to attack Cell, but the king declares that it's futile. They have to trust that boy. Gohan keeps trying to tell Cell to give up, that he doesn't want to fight and kill Cell if he loses control, but this only makes Cell more interested in that anger, and beats him further. When Piccolo yells at Goku about how Gohan's probably suffering without even knowing his plan, Goku tries to give him a senzu bean, but Cell steals them. Seeing an opening, Android 16 jumps behind Cell to blow himself up, but it doesn't work. 16 was unaware that Dr. Briefs removed his bomb. Cell turns and blows him into pieces, creating 7 small copies of himself named Cell Juniors, and they all attack the Z fighters. Watching his friends hurt like this slowly brings Gohan to the boiling point. During the commotion, Android 16's head asks Mr. Satan to throw him over at Gohan. Mr. Satan builds up the courage, throwing him at Gohan's feet. This changes the course of the entire fight. 16 tells Gohan that there are some enemies you can't defeat with mere words. He doesn't have to keep his spirit away from anger, asking Gohan to protect the world and nature he loved so much, as Cell crushes his head under his foot. This was the final push Gohan needed to explode into Super Saiyan 2.
pay for that.
Without a word, he snatches the senzu beans back, and wastes no time in killing each of the Cell Juniors. The anime actually adds one extra Cell Junior kill, which wasn't in the manga. He then gives the senzu beans to Trunks, and sets his sights on Cell. At this point, the camera and mic get destroyed, so humanity has no idea what the rest of the battles are like. Gohan completely dominates Cell, breaking him down slowly and making him freak out. But instead of finishing him off right away, Gohan says that he wants to toy with Cell. Gohan even fires his first Kamehameha and heavily damages Cell. Once he regenerates, Cell pumps his body full of energy, forgetting the same lessons Trunks had to learn. He may have great power but no speed, and by the end, Gohan kicks his skull in, or his stomach in the anime, which causes Cell to throw up Android 18, forcing Cell back down to second form. But the android starts to grow, ready to blow himself up along with the entire planet. With nowhere to run, Goku turns to his friends and bids them farewell, telling Gohan to take care of his mom. He teleports to King Kai's planet, where Cell explodes, taking all of them with him. As Krillin carries 18 back, and Vegeta yells at him to just kill her, a gust of wind surprises everyone. Dust and energy scatter as a death beam pierces through the silence, killing future Trunks. Cell has returned, with his newly learned instant transmission, regenerated from the clump of cells that remained. Not only that, he's even stronger than before and back in his perfect form. And that wasn't even on purpose, it was a miscalculation. In response to his son's death, Vegeta rampages against Cell, but is swatted to the side and nearly killed. But Gohan jumps in the way to protect him, breaking his arm. Vegeta apologizes to Gohan, but it's too late. Cell is about to destroy the entire solar system with his Kamehameha. From Otherworld, Goku contacts Gohan with King Kai's help, encouraging him to strike back with his own one-handed Kamehameha. In the anime, Piccolo and the others fire their own blast at Cell to support Gohan, but it's useless. It isn't until Vegeta blasts Cell in the face to distract him, giving Gohan the opening to push forward with his father's support, that Cell is finally overwhelmed. The Red Ribbon Army has been destroyed. From here on, 17 and 18 are effectively not part of the army anymore, so I'm not going to be as detailed about them. The Z fighters return to the lookout and get everyone healed, including 18. She leaves but turns around once Shenron is summoned, hiding behind a pillar. They wish for everyone killed to be returned to life, which includes Android 17 but not 16. Krillin tries to use the second wish to turn 17 and 18 back to humans, but it's too powerful a wish. He instead wishes for their bombs to be removed, so they can live in peace. When Krillin implies that he thinks 17 and 18 are a couple, 18 yells at him that they're twins, and leaves, but does say that they'll see each other again one day. The Dragon Ball Super manga shows that after this, 18 went back to the site of the Cell games. There, she tells her brother that Krillin removed their bomb, and with Goku dead, they don't have to follow the orders of the Red Ribbon. She will now live her life by her own rules, leaving 17. It's worth noting that the androids were in fact aware while inside of Cell. Mr. Satan would be publicly credited for the defeat of Cell, as peace finally returned. Future Trunks also left back to the future timeline, where he easily defeats the androids upon his return. In the manga, 17 kills an old man right before Trunks arrives, but the anime changes it so Trunks actually saves him. A few years later, he also defeats Cell when the android tries to steal his time machine. With that, reconstruction efforts can continue in peace. Surely, nothing bad will ever happen in the future again. After the end of the Cell games, anime filler shows Cell has begun causing trouble in Hell alongside Frieza and his men. Goku goes to the Grand Kai's planet to prepare for the Otherworld tournament, where he meets Pikkon, a fighter from West Galaxy. Together, they travel to Hell and defeat the villains. Android 18 would end up going out and eventually marrying Krillin on age 770, having a daughter named Marin the following year, while living at Kame House. According to Toriyama, she found his seriousness and straightforwardness refreshing. Meanwhile, Android 17 traveled through the world, fighting poachers and choosing to become a park ranger at Monster Island. He met a zoologist whom he'd marry and have 2 adoptive children with, and 1 biological. He visited Krillin in 18, but kept his personal life to himself because he's embarrassed by how peaceful it is. His family lives far away from Monster Island, and we've never actually seen them. A bonus Dragon Ball Super chapter shows that 17 tamed Cell Juniors at Monster Island, and that they are part of the reason why he became so strong. The manga implies that they were actually the original Cell Juniors who just regenerated, like Cell. At the same time, Magenta continues operating Red Pharmaceuticals, with Carmine as his second in command. Android 18 participates in the World Tournament, where she reveals Goten and Trunks posing as Mighty Mask, and gives Mr. Satan the win for 20 million Zenny. She then helps everyone look for the Dragon Balls, and stays at the lookout while the kids train for fusion. Sadly, her, Krillin, Marin, and everyone else is killed by Super Buu when he escapes the time time chamber. Her brother, Dr. Gero, Magenta, and everyone else was also killed by Buu, either by Fat Buu, the human extinction attack, or the explosion of the planet. They all later return and give energy to Goku during the final Genkidama, with Android 17 being shown as a park ranger for the first time here. Android 8 is also here. In the anime, he even makes two hunters put up their arms at gunpoint. Android 18 shows up in Bio Broly, a movie that doesn't really have anything to do with the main storyline, but this is where we see her go to Mr. Satan about the tournament money, and she ends up charging him even more money to help out against Lord Jaguar, his Bioman, and Bio Broly. She then appears in Yo Son Goku and his friends return, attending Mr. Satan's hotel opening. Filler during the Great Saiyaman part of the anime also shows a movie crew which reuses the character designs for Black and Red. Not really any relation, but I thought it was funny. In Dragon Ball Daima, Android 18, along with the others who helped during the battles against Majin Buu, were turned into kids by the Demon King Goma, but reverted back by the end of the story. Tao Pai Pai also passed away at an unknown time, along with his brother, the Crane Hermit. According to Toriyama, they got mixed up in something or the other and died. Maybe it was Buu or something like that, but we don't actually know. At this point, Android 18 is a permanent member of the Z Fighters going into Dragon Ball Super, and has moved to Satan City with her family, attending Bulma's party, trying to fight Beerus, helping Krillin shave, dying with everyone on Earth who wasn't saved by Whis until he rewinds time. Android 18 later meets future Trunks again when he visits Krillin. This shows the future warrior that the androids really have changed from the other timeline, but more importantly, she joins the Tournament of Power with her husband, and even her brother. A tournament where the losing universes would get destroyed, and the winner would get a wish on the Super Dragon Balls. 17 gets an extended reintroduction into the story, where Goku gets Dende's help to find him at Monster Island, where he's a park ranger fending off poachers, even space poachers. Goku and 17 also have a brief fight. 17 agrees to join as a thank you to Krillin for removing his bomb, plus the possibility of a wish, while 18 originally agrees because Goku lied about prize money. They leave Goten, Trunks, and Marin and Monster Island to defend the place, and in the manga, the kids fight the Cell Juniors until the androids realize that they too are rangers. The twin androids are instrumental in defeating warriors like Anilaza and Ribrianne, but the most important contribution comes when Android 17 fakes a self-destruction, allowing him to hide in the rubble until the perfect moment, where Goku and Frieza could rush Jiren out of the arena. Thus, Android 17 is declared the winner of the Tournament of Power, bringing back all those erased universes, and still getting a Capsule Corp yacht as a thank you from Bulma. However, there is a story set in Dragon Ball Super which is more important for the army and the androids. Sometime after Resurrection F, the story of Dragon Ball FighterZ takes place, so let's tackle it here. In a secret lab created by Dr. Gero, his supercomputer used his deceased wife, Vami, to create a new bio-android, greater than even Cell. Data from various warriors and the greatest minds on Earth were added to help, even information from Majin Buu. Once she's awake, she's driven by both hunger and an instinct of what her past life was. It's unclear to her, but it pushes her to rebuild Android 16, who was unknowingly based on her son, in her delirium. And before she can truly control herself, 21 goes to New Namek and uses the Dragon Balls to revive past villains, hoping to devour them. One of the many hidden labs of Dr. Gero, activating the energy suppressing machines to weaken the Earth's heroes. But this also weakened her, and specifically her evil half. And soon after, the good half of her personality regained control. The game's story is split into 3 alternate takes, but the main one is the Android 21 arc, which I'll focus on. Android 18 wakes up in a forest. Disoriented, she's surprised by Android 16, alive despite having died during the Cell games. A surge of pain knocks her unconscious, and she wakes up in a lab. She's next to a new person, Android 21. 18's body has been linked to an outside soul. This linking system was originally developed by Dr. Gero as a way to control others, androids or otherwise, but souls could never remain out of their own body for too long. 21 admits that she was the one that initiated the linking with 18 and brought her over here. Across the world, clones of warriors have appeared, created through Red Ribbon technology. 21 claims that the only way to fight back is to use the linking system to grow stronger. 21 also gives 18 her old clothes. Android 17 joins them as well, but his soul link failed. In fact, 18 has been the longest successful link, and the team go around defeating clones, but something strange happens. 21 hovers over a defeated Goku clone, struggling against an overwhelming craving to consume him. 16 is able to stop her, but refuses refuses to explain to the others what happened. She continues to struggle after every battle, as she requires a lot of energy to contain her power. At West City, Krillin arrives to save 18, and he reveals that the Z Fighter's power has been sealed away. 16 says that it's the energy suppressing waves, a machine Dr. Gero created to suppress the ki around the world. 16 insists that he did not activate it, but 21 can't hold back any longer. Krillin refuses to leave 18 behind to escape, and his wife does want to join him, but is forced to fight him instead to protect him from 21. Still, 21 won't stop, and she explodes in power, threatening to eat everyone. The soul within 18 links with 21, and within her, we can see that there's darkness lurking, but we're able to stop it for now. 17 took Krillin to a safe place, and the soul returned to 18. Back at the lab, 16 finally explains how 21 was created, and how she has endless hunger, and that she has to constantly push down her other hungry personality. The linking system can be used to help 21 suppress her urges. So for now, the androids and the soul agree to keep the link until they defeat the clones. Over the course of the battles, 21 reveals a bit more through the linking. She eventually explains why she repaired Android 16, since he was modeled after her son, and that all she wanted was to live together as a family. That there was in fact a time, before she was an android, that she was a mother and had a son, and that thinking of Gero makes her want to cry. That he was brilliant, but not very nice. Eventually, the group is attacked by Cell. Cell says that he suspects this is all 21's fault, and powers up to reveal that the linking soul inside him has been suppressed, so he can unleash his full power. Android 21 steps up to the bat and transforms, her Majin Buu DNA clearly on display. They struggle, but they beat Cell. But now that everyone is too damaged to stop 21, she's ready to turn Cell into candy. 16 is the only one who can act, but she's completely lost it, and 21 kills 16 with a giant energy sphere. His final words, asking 17 and 18 to protect 21's heart. Realizing what she did, the good and evil 21 split in half, with evil 21 keeping most of the power, and finally eating Cell. Good 21 can't do anything against her, and her evil half escapes. In order to help against her, she asks the soul to link with her instead. 21 tells the others that there are hidden Dr. Gero labs all over the world, and that her evil half is going to go find them in fear that she'll be destroyed. At one of those hidden labs, we see a room full of cell-like incubators, a supercomputer, and a remote, but the good androids find her and attack. Turns out that this place is where the energy suppressor lies. Evil 21 doesn't get why the real 21 never tried to get rid of her, and she eats the suppressor's remote. But Krillin shoots a Kienzan to stop her. Goku is with him, and gets senzu beans for everyone. The evil android and Goku are about to face off, but she teleports away, wanting to save the best for last, and thanking Goku for showing instant transmission in front of her. 18 apologizes to Krillin, but he says that there's no need. He learned everything that's happening at the lookout. Goku can't wait to fight the evil one. But first, they need to get everyone ready. Evil 21 is going around eating more clones, while the heroes fly in Bulma's ship. They decide to keep fighting clones and boosting their soul link until they run into 21. Eventually, they get rid of all the clones and locate Evil 21's aura in a volcano. Goku smirks at 21 and teleports everyone away. He knows she will follow. They all end up at the Kaioshin realm. The Kais yell at Goku, but they don't have a say now that Evil 21 shows up. Her evil half taunts her, telling her to give in and feed, but through a difficult battle, they're able to push her back. 21 says that they have to erase every single one of her cells so she never returns, and Goku realizes that they have to use the spirit bomb if they're dealing with another Buu. 21 distracts her other half as the energy gathers, and when Evil 21 holds it back, the good 21 returns the soul to 18 and rushes in to have them both swallowed up by the spirit bomb. 18 and 17 mourn her loss, but when Beerus shows up, Goku says that he hopes to see 21 once again when she's reincarnated by King Yama. Beerus actually offers to ask Yama personally, but first, they gotta return to Earth and return the linked soul to where it belongs. Android 18 also shows up at the Dragon Ball Z The Real 4D at the Super Tenkaichi, an attraction at Universal Studios Japan, where she sits in the audience and gets Piccolo's attention so Krillin can win the fight. The audience eventually fuses with Goku to defeat Broly, and since 18 was in the audience, does that mean she fuses too? But we're getting sidetracked. Back to the main story. After the Tournament of Power, androids 17 and 18, along with the rest of the Z Fighters, become temporary galactic patrolmen, arriving on the battlefield during Moro's assault on Earth. They fight 7-3, who's actually at a disadvantage because he can't absorb the android's power. They also fight Shimoreka, but Moro appears and interrupts the fight, giving his power to Sagambo, who completely overwhelms 18 and 17. They also try to help against Moro while Goku's fighting him, but they really don't stand a chance. Thankfully, Earth is eventually saved. The army seems to be completely gone from the world, but behind the scenes, Magenta began formulating his plan to return it to its former glory. He continued to operate Red Pharmaceuticals. Magenta develops a cover-up for his evil acts. According to him, Commander Red and Dr. Gero were heroes. Earth is being invaded by aliens and other powerful foes, aided by Capsule Corp, who killed Cell. It's now time to finish what his predecessor started, but in order to do that, he needs to team up with Dr. Gero. Gero's grandson grew up to be brilliant, getting a master's degree and a doctorate at a young age, interested in robotics and bioengineering, just like his granddad, though he never actually met him because his parents didn't approve of what he did. Because he was a bit of a mad scientist, no lab could ever keep him for long. He ended up using most of his inheritance funding his experiments. Dr. Gero has been grave robbing and using bodies for his experiments, making them into a new series of androids, the Alpha series, and using them to make money in different ways. But the appearance of these androids causes a stir in West City. It's age 782. By this point, Goten and Trunks are teenagers attending Blue Hall High School, secretly saving the world as the Great Saiyaman X1 and X2. But strange things begin to happen. Ghost sightings at abandoned mansions, and suspicious night activity. There's apparently mysterious people messing with the helper robots at night, and Mai can't go out with Trunks as long as those people are around. Goten and Trunks find one of the zombies messing with the helper robot. In reality, this is one of the Alpha androids. They follow the getaway car into a mansion. They discover a whole squad of Alpha androids, using helper robots to make packs of prepackaged sushi for convenience stores. But the androids find Goten and Trunks' classmates sneaking about, so they have to save them. Alpha 12 orders them all to attack, but they stand no chance. Goten gets everyone out of there because Trunks' costume malfunctions, defeating 12 with a powerful Super Saiyan punch. The Saiyans discover a hidden data disk with Dr. Gero's name on it. Later that night, Dr. Gero returns to the mansion to see his place completely destroyed. Alpha 12 explains what happened, and Gero starts to fix them up, but they'll have to move base and get revenge for what they did. Trunks uses Bulma's computer to look into the disk, finding the blueprints for Cell, but Gero's defenses give the computer a virus, but Bra's able to fix it. After learning that someone from Blue Hall High defeated the Alpha series, Gero deploys a new android model, Beta 1, disguised as a high school student named Beta. Beta 1 begins targeting Goten and Trunks, suspecting one of them to be the culprit. He mostly just ends up messing with Trunks, though Trunks and Mai discover that he must be an android. Eventually, Beta 1 sees Goten lift an entire truck easily, so he goes for him instead, transforming into his superhero persona and swearing that the world will know the name of Dr. Gero. Trunks intervenes as the Saiyaman X1, easily overpowering the android. Though Dr. Gero ends up really admiring the stylish look of the Great Saiyaman, Beta 1 summons Beta 2, an upgraded battle jacket system. He kidnaps Mai when she tries to run away with the disc. Goten defends the students, and Trunks destroys the battle jacket's top. Beta returns to base, where Gero is disappointed that he didn't get an autograph from them. Krillin has been investigating the androids, and finds them running a convenience store, arresting them. On the way to school, Goten's bus stops by Beta 7, an Elvis impersonator, but he's easily defeated by X2. Mai then invites Trunks to a dance, where Clean God is supposed to show up, all while Dr. Gero's spy bug listens in. He can't believe that Clean God is gonna visit the school, and makes a plan to attend. Mai had already discovered that the bug was spying on them, and reveals to Goten that she's been investigating. She came up with a plan to lure him out. Once there, Gero shows up with Beta 8, a rushed female android. Trunks and Dr. Gero actually end up bonding over their love for Clean God, as Gero reveals that he actually has an exclusive t-shirt and autograph, but the signature was stolen. Mai pulls out a gun on Gero. Just then, Krillin and the police show up to arrest Dr. Gero for stealing bodies from the morgue. Gero escapes with a smoke launcher, stealing Trunks' bag along the way. Goten, Trunks, and Krillin go after him, as he reveals that the police has been investigating the new rise of the Red Ribbon Army, and how they plan on recruiting Dr. Gero. When they get there, Dr. Gero unleashes Dino Droid 1, his most powerful creation yet, but he can't actually control him, and he begins to destroy everything. Krillin destroys a mechanism on his neck to paralyze him, with Goten and Trunks sending him into the sky and bursting bursting through him. Krillin and the police arrest the doctor and the androids, but when he opens the disc case, the autographed picture of Dr. Gero and Clean God falls out instead. This is what he actually cared about. The disc was destroyed in battle, but Gero says that he already memorized it all, not like he ever wanted to continue Gero's work anyways. Gero ended up getting a reduced sentence thanks to a request from the families, whose kids he used as a basis for the androids, since they were returned to them. But his research continues even in jail, with a new spy wasp, Hachimaru, continuing his dream of creating the ultimate android. For this next section, where I cover Dragon Ball Superhero, I'll primarily be focusing on the manga version, since it's more or less the same story, but with more content. Krillin and the police are actively tracking the modern remnants of the Red Ribbon Army, specifically Magenta, his public front as Red Pharmaceuticals, and Dr. Gero. Inside Red Pharmaceuticals, Magenta and Carmine make it clear that they're waiting for that moment. Hachimaru has already been spying on them, and in 3 months, when he's released, he blows up the prison on his way out. Magenta and Carmine pick him up. Gero already knows who they are, though he isn't exactly sure what they want. In the manga, at the same time, Krillin tries to tell them to locate their base, but Gero notices them and uses his wasp to take out Krillin. Magenta offers funding, facilities, and 300 million yen per android. Gero isn't sure, but doesn't care for taking over the world, and likes superheroes too much. But Magenta argues that the Red Ribbon is like superheroes themselves, wanting to take out evil people and create a peaceful world where they are in control. Magenta ups the offer to 1 billion per android. As Carmine threatens him with a gun, Gero accepts, but not that the gun means anything, since he's modified his body to be resistant, and Hachimaru can take out a human with a toxin. Magenta then explains that his biggest obstacle is the aliens and beings that defeated Cell, which are involved with Capsule Corp. To Gero, this means that Trunks and Goten were pretending to be heroes while really being villains, and so he promises to make the greatest androids to achieve their goal. At some point, Magenta constructed an entirely new base hidden behind cloaking technology inside a river, redesigning the uniforms and weaponry, and mass-producing the battle jackets. Dr. Gero would go on to develop androids Gamma 1 and Gamma 2, twins programmed as superheroes and partially based on Gero's last battle against the Great Saiyaman X1 and X2, taking inspiration for the suits and the Super Saiyan hair for their fins, though in the actual movie, they seem to be based on a real-world unnamed superhero. They're equipped with blasters and an energy system that isn't actually infinite, unlike Gero's androids. Gamma 2 also has a hologram device for sound effects. By the request of Magenta, Gero also used the blueprints for Cell, which he memorized from the disc, to begin developing the giant Cell Max. One day, while Piccolo meditates before getting Pan, he is suddenly attacked with a blast. Gamma 2 has been sent out to ambush the Demon King Piccolo, and although he won't reveal his real identity, the big red ribbon symbol gives a hint. Gamma 2 overwhelms Piccolo, and assuming that he's dead after a big blast, Piccolo trails Gamma 2 back to the base, steals a uniform, and infiltrates the facility. From inside, Piccolo sees that there's another Gamma, and a presentation from Carmine about the Cabal at Capsule Corp. Goku, a mid-tier lieutenant, Vegeta, Majin Buu, and worst of all, Mr. Satan. Magenta also pushes the Doctor to rush their biggest weapon, Cell Max. The body is nearly done, but the mind control system will take some time. It's clear that Gero doesn't care for Cell Max, not wanting to use his grandfather's work, but either way, Cell just can't be rushed. Magenta sends out spies to locate Goku and Vegeta, but to no avail. Dr. Gero also mentions that they could reuse the data of the Gammas to create copies of them in no time. Piccolo realizes that he's gonna need some help, but Goku and Vegeta are at Beerus' planet, and the army probably knows about 17 and 18's weaknesses. So he goes to Dende to upgrade the Dragon Balls and use them to unlock his latent potential, gaining a power boost and a bonus extra on top from Shenron. With that, he returns to base. In the manga, Trunks overhears Piccolo and calls Goten to prepare for battle. At the base, Magenta and Carmine discuss targeting Gohan, and decide that their cleanest play is to kidnap Pan. Gero is completely opposed to this, but Magenta ignores him. Piccolo, still in disguise, volunteers for the mission, flying out with Soldier 15 together. Pan recognizes Piccolo immediately and knocks out 15. She goes along with the plan, letting them stage the kidnapping to bait Gohan in. Piccolo goes to get Gohan, who actually doesn't recognize him, but the moment he sees Pan in trouble, he explodes in power and forces them to take him to the base, exactly as Magenta intended. Gohan rushes in to get Pan but is kicked away by Gamma 2, with Gamma 1 declaring that it's his battle now. Gohan is forced into Super Saiyan, which Gero recognizes as an alien transformation. In order to push Gohan beyond, Piccolo pretends to hurt Pan. Gamma 2 yells at him to stop, while Gohan bursts into Ultimate. it. As he does this, his energy destroys the cloaking mechanism of the base, alerting the police station. Coming out of Klingat 2 with his daughter and wife, Krillin senses Gohan's energy and gets a call from Sergeant Nuts. Both Krillin and 18 agree to check it out. Gohan pushes back Gamma 1. 2 jumps in, but gets intercepted by Piccolo. They fight across the entire base, but the Gammas start to doubt if they're really on the right side. In the end, Piccolo is slammed into the abyss, but Shenron's little extra bonus pushes him back into the fight with a new form, Orange Piccolo, knocking down Gamma 2 in one punch. At Capsule Corp, Goten arrives, and Bulma tells them that it's time to move, calling Krillin to have them join them. While soldiers fire at Piccolo, Magenta and Carmine try to escape. Hedo tries to get them, but Pan gets there first, dodging bullets and gunshots from Carmine, until his gun is knocked out of his hand by Gamma 2, and he's knocked out by Pan. The Gammas now clearly see which side was really fighting for evil. Magenta makes it to Cell Max's capsule room, where he shoots Hedo for following him, but the scientist survives thanks to his altered skin. To fight Hedo, Magenta puts on a super suit, but Hachimaru simply stings him and he dies. But not before slamming his fist into the console and releasing Cell Max. Goten, Trunks, and the others arrive as things calm down, but Cell Max bursts out of his holding. Hedo escapes just in time, but the explosion catches his plane. The Gammas rush in to save him, just as Cell Max attacks. He has no real control over himself. In the manga, Goten and Trunks jump into action first, changing into their superhero personas. They get beat down at first, but go Super Saiyan and actually manage to confuse the monster, blasting him from several directions. This attack makes the Gammas realize that the Great Saiyamen are clearly who Dr. Hedo looked at for inspiration when making them, and because of this, they decide to team up. Together, they perform a quadruple cyclone-style tornado super hurricane, but this doesn't slow down Cell Max. The kids resort to the fusion dance, but fail. 18, Piccolo, and Gohan rush in to help, as Gamma 1 tells Gohan to aim for the head dome, although nothing seems to be working, and Cell Max quickly recovers and fires blasts from every spot on his body. At this point in the movie, Pan is forced to learn to fly, but this happens later on in the manga. 18 slams Gotenks into Cell Max's head, actually cracking it, all while Gamma 2 gathers his energy for a sacrificial attack. Krillin joins in, and blinding him with a solar flare, while Gamma 2 comes bursting down from the atmosphere. Gamma 1 jumps over Dr. Hedo to protect him, but Cell Max covers his head just in time, and all Gamma 2 could accomplish was destroying Cell Max's arm. Gamma 2 gets his brother out of there, and Piccolo turns giant to keep Cell at bay. He also gives Gohan a senzu bean, which is when Pan has to save it from a cell blast in the manga, by learning to fly. Piccolo comes up with a plan to hold Cell Max back, so that Gohan gets a clean shot, but he loses an arm in the process, and Cell Max blasts him into the sky. In the manga, Gamma 1 protects him from the attack, but in the movie, Cell Max just catches him and roars. Seeing Piccolo in this position breaks something in Gohan, and he unlocks a new state, Beast, kicking the monster away, but Cell Max begins to create a powerful ball of energy. Piccolo wraps his limbs around him to hold him down, as Gohan prepares his most powerful special beam cannon. In the manga, Cell Max tries to fly up, but he gets one wing shot off by Gamma 1, and the other is broken by a team attack between Krillin and 18. Gohan fires the Makan Kozapo, but Cell Max's energy sphere clashes with it. Goten and Trunks rush in to kick Cell Max's hand away, allowing Gohan's blast to break through and defeat Cell Max once and for all. The rebirth of the Red Ribbon Army stopped. In the movie, of course, the other characters aren't as involved. Goten and Trunks don't use their suits, and the beam goes right through. But anyways, everyone escapes out of there and Cell Max explodes. Sadly, Gamma 2 could not be saved, but everyone agrees that they weren't that bad, so they get invited to work at Capsule Corp. However, the remnants of the army actually escaped out of the base, led by Carmine. They return to Red Pharmaceuticals and have a funeral for Magenta. On the way back, 15 asked if the Red Ribbon Army is really gone. Carmine says that as long as Gohan and Piccolo are around, there's no way to bring it back. But then they come across the Great Saiyaman fighting some criminals. This gives Carmine an idea to get them to help him against the heroes who defeated Cell Max, since they escaped before he appeared and don't recognize the heroes from the fight. At Red Pizzeria, the Saiyaman finally agree when they're taunted, especially since Trunks wants to show off to Mai. Unbeknownst to them, Carmine is driving them directly to Gohan's place, and he starts shooting at it. Gohan runs out, turns beast, and gets up in Carmine's face. He tries to get Goten and Trunks to fight, but they're obviously not gonna do that, and they explain the situation. Suddenly, Goku appears to challenge Gohan to a fight, and the Red Ribbon guys try to escape, but Goku makes everyone get in the car and teleports them to Beerus' planet. There, a giant Saiyan rumble begins, which Trunks requests be recorded by 15, and to edit out the part where they failed Gotenks. They even get saved from battles and get refreshments from Lemo. When they find out that they can't just drive back, they stay for dinner. When they finally make it back home, they drive straight out of there after apologizing. And as they go off into the distance, Carmine finally declares that he's given up on the Red Ribbon Army. His new goal is to direct his full efforts into Red Pharmaceutical's R&D. And so, we've reached the latest point in the timeline in the history of the Red Ribbon Army, at least in the mainstream continuity. But there is still a lot more to explore. First, let's tackle Dragon Ball GT. In Dragon Ball GT, the Red Ribbon Army briefly returns. After the baby arc, where the entire world, including Android 18, was taken over by a Tuffle parasite, and Earth was destroyed, everything went back to normal thanks to the Namekian Dragon Balls. However, Dr. Mew, a machine mutant used by Baby for his plans, is found by Dr. Gero in Hell. There, they find common ground in their hatred for Goku. They come up with a plan, create a replica of Android 17 in Hell that will link with a normal 17 on Earth to open the gates of Hell and flood the living realm with villains. Gero explains that he originally had planned on making 17 his ultimate creation, even beyond Cell, and so, through their combined efforts, they create the android machine mutant, Hellfighter 17. Everyone's trying to have a normal evening, until Trunks suddenly shows up half dead at the doorstep. They then notice the giant gaping hole in the sky, and King Kai warns Goku that something's messing with the boundaries. In reality, 17 and Hellfighter 17 have synced their energy to make this happen. With the portal open, a flood of old enemies spill back into Earth. Most importantly for our sake, a bunch of Red Ribbon faces, including General Blue, Staff Officer Black, Major Metallitron, and Android 19. He explains that Android 17 attacked him, wrecked his car, and delivered a message. Goku needs to come to Hell. While his friends take care of Earth, Goku jumps in through the portal, but Mew and Gero close it behind them as they leave Goku with Frieza and Cell. Goku battles them, clearly stronger, but because they're dead, he can't just beat them. Cell even briefly absorbs Goku, and gets incredible power, only for Goku to crawl back out. Cell and Frieza resort to trapping Goku in an energy cage, and sending him into the depths of Hell to be tortured. He's eventually frozen in ice by the old torturer, but when Cell and Frieza show up to mock him, the ice melts, because it was designed for the dead and not the living. Goku uses the machine to freeze Cell and Frieza instead. Meanwhile, on Earth, Pan defeats a bunch of old Red Ribbon members, like everyone's favorite, Captain Yellow. Goten and Trunks even destroy 19 without even looking at him. Android 17 finds 18 to try and get her to join him, but Krillin steps in, and 17 kills him without hesitation. 18 tries to fight while Marin escapes, but she's left for dead by her husband. Slowly, the enemies are sent back to Hell, including Blue and Black, who whine in line, while the Z fighters take down more enemies. Vegeta runs into Hellfighter 17. Gero and Mew watch, and reveal that there's more to the android than meets the eye, as the real 17 arrives and the two merge into Super 17. None of the heroes stand a chance now, particularly thanks to the energy absorption, but Pan sneaks up behind Gero and attacks him. When Gero tells Super 17 to save him, the android ignores him. It turns out that Mew programmed 17 to only listen to him, and Gero is in disbelief as 17 kills him once again. Goku eventually escapes Hell, thanks to Piccolo forcing his way there, and opening a portal with Dende. At first, he only fights using Super Saiyan, bouncing all around the world. Then he pushes to Super Saiyan 4, using the Kamehameha times 10 to test out Super 17's absorption, trying to overload him, but it doesn't work. He even resorts to try and blow himself up, but 17 opens a barrier just in time and neither die. That's when Android 18 makes her way to the battlefield, confronting 17 for what he did. 17 actually hesitates for a moment, as she explains that he went from one master to another. In response to this, Super 17 turns to Mew and kills him with a shocking death ball. She also bluffs by reminding 17 about the bomb inside her, saying that it'll just take everyone out if he shoots. In reality, 18 is banking on the idea that 17 doesn't know that their bombs were removed, and blasts her brother. 18 blasting her brother reveals a weakness during the absorption, since this leaves 17 open. Goku takes his chance and pierces straight through the super android with a dragon fist, destroying the threat, and finishing off the Red Ribbon in GT. After the battle, Goku tells 18 that 17 more than likely did know about the bombs, and that he was fighting against his mind control because he loves his sister, saying that it really wasn't 17's fault. Of course, them trying to get the Dragon Balls to return Earth to normal leads to the Shadow Dragons arc. This ends with Goku leaving with Shenron, but not before those killed are revived by a final wish. And although not not shown, Dragon Ball GT writer Atsushi Maekawa explained in the Dragon Box DVD box set interview that the real Android 17 was also revived with the wish, and that a scene showing this was planned and even had dialogue, but it was cut out. One of the most interesting parts of extended material when it comes to lore in Dragon Ball is Dragon Ball Online. This game was overseen by Akira Toriyama, but was only ever released in Asia. It takes place on age 1000, hundreds of years after the end of the original manga. In age 991, General Bong created a reborn version of the Red Ribbon Army, the Red Pants Army. His goal was to take over the world, but more specifically, take it over for the animal Earthlings, gathering them into his force as a way to rebel against their oppressors. This new version of the army is mostly animal people. The army was forced to team up with the Timebreakers after they offered resources and technology. These were the forces of Mira and Towa, who have been messing with time and even destroyed planet Namek. With their help, as well as resources from Paella and the Frieza Force, the army restored old projects from the army, including Android Number 9, the giant replica of Commander Red, who also serves as leader of the Red Pants Army and rules over the ruins of the original Red Ribbon HQ. They also created Tao Pai Pai X, a new version of Cyborg Tao who wants to bring back the Red Ribbon and become the best assassin once again. He takes over the Red Ribbon's underground ruins and hires General White Jr. as his assistant, though he looks nothing like General White, and he's not much of a junior if he's full generations away from the original. They even cloned Android Number 20, aka Dr. Gero, who rebuilt Gero's army with the help of the Timebreakers. Under their supervision, many new androids were created, including replicas of Android 16, as well as androids to be used by the Timebreakers, like Android 8000 and Android 19000, as well as their variations. Buyon's race has also become more common on Earth, when the remnants of the Frieza Force used these aliens in their failed invasion of Earth. So the army uses them too. General Bon is married to Mrs. Bon, another member of the army, though she actually ends up being possessed by July, a Timebreaker working for Towa and Mira. By age 1000, the army had settled and made camps all over the world, though they're probably the weakest of the factions. There's other members that aren't as important, like Builder Gigi, who's in charge of construction in North Porunga Rocks, and Bong Bong, or Captain Panda, at Yahoy West. Through the game, the hero defeats all of them, taking down Android 9 in the Red Ribbon base, General Bon in the Red Pants Army HQ, saving the Karinga tribe from Tau X, etc. They also tackle Gero's lab, where they fight Dr. Smell and the Gero clone, as well as many androids and robots. By the time they get to Yahoy East, the army is all but destroyed. Having just taken down Gero's lab, they fight and defeat General Brooklyn and meet Papa Wave, an elder of the army, who now regrets his teachings. With these smaller cells defeated, the army is more or less destroyed, but whatever was left starts to be taken over by the Timebreakers, either through brainwashing or volunteering. Some members are even cloned, and those who don't join are imprisoned. However, the Timebreakers also created a new version of Cell, the gigantic Cell X, allying themselves with pirate Captain Bacterian at Papaya Island, with the goal of collecting Kili for the monster. Cell X eventually escaped and hid himself in a cave behind a waterfall, where he reproduced and created hundreds of smaller versions of himself in different forms, like Cell X Jr., Eggs, etc. Warned by Master Korin of this impending danger, the heroes go to the waterfall cave and defeat the monster. Of course, in other spin-offs, like Xenoverse and Heroes, the army is also involved, so let's go over it a little bit. For example, when Xenotrunks appears in the Super 17 arc to help out, Towa powers up Super 17 and forcefully fuses him with Android 18, but he's defeated by Super Saiyan 4 Gohan and the others. Super 17 also gets other absorptions in the games, like Android 16 or 19 in Galaxy Mission 9, and a cell-absorbed version in Galaxy Mission 10. General Bon and the Red Pants Army also show up, having teamed up with the Dark Empire. At one point, the Dark Dragon Balls that spread through time and space end up on the chest of Cell. The Time Patrol go and recover it, but the demon Poutine powers up Cell until he mutates into Cell X, but Vejenx is able to defeat him. In the Universe Creation Saga, Android 18 and 17 join Goku, Vegeta, and the others as they investigate disturbances connected to the Universe Tree. In the new Space-Time War Saga, when Goku and the others are trapped inside Fu's fake universe, Goku Black is about to wipe everyone out, but Cell appears with a halo over his head, buying time for everyone to escape and teleporting away. He's a temporary ally. 17 and 18 are also there, and they defeat a mass Super 17 together. In the Super Space-Time Tournament, a tournament held by AO, shows, by smashing different realities of time and space together, several teams contain Red Ribbon members. Team 5 has Super 17, Team 7 has 13 through 19, and Team 12 has the army members of the original series. Though out of all of these, Super 17's team is the only one that makes it into the second round, while the others are destroyed. Cell also shows up, and both him and Super 13 end up powered up by Demigar's magic, but they're defeated by Xeno Trunks, Goten Pan, Oob, and the future Warrior in Black, a future Gohan from a timeline where he survived, while Trunks and Bulma died to the androids. The following arc, the Demon Invader Saga, has several Red Ribbon members across space and time be absorbed by Majin Osoto, like Silver, Tao, 17, 18, and Cell, but he's eventually defeated, and the Dragon Balls are used to bring everyone back to where they belong. Also, 17 helps out during the final battle. In Dragon Ball Fusions, set on age 2016, in the far future of the series, characters are all time displaced for a time tournament. Here, Cell teams up with Frieza and the game's rival, Pinich. Together, they face the heroes many times, and Cell even fuses with Frieza into Zaluza. One of the final confrontations is against Super Pinich, an ultra 5-way fusion between the three of them and two NPCs. He even turns Ozaru and kills Goku, but Whis turns back time. In the end, the villains are defeated, but Fusions has more to talk about. I already mentioned Zaluza and Ultra Pinich, but you can also fuse 17 and Cell to get Cell 17, Cell and 16 to get Perfect 16, Arale and Android 18 to get Arale 18, 16 and 17 to get 16 17, 17 and 18 to get 17 18, and 19 and Gero to get 19 20. There's also a bunch of NPCs in the game that are androids or related to the Red Ribbon. They're very minor and not really worth talking about, like Android 33, who is actually a nice guy. In Xenoverse 1, Cell gets powered up by Towa to mess with time, even showing us a timeline where he wins. She also messes with the future timeline to power up 17 and 18, and having Cell show up earlier. When Demigra starts wreaking havoc, he brings back Cell, Frieza, and Kid Buu. And in the GT DLC, Super 17 and his fusees are also powered up by the dark magic. Super 17, Omega Shenron, and Baby Vegeta all show up at the end of the DLC, and we defeat them alongside Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. In Xenoverse 2, the Time Breakers reactivate future Android 16, and Trunks is tempted to save Gohan from the androids. But of course, history must play its course, though there is an alternate path where Trunks does interfere and helps defeat them. They also power up First Form Cell so he absorbs both androids at once, and even interrupt the Cell games with Metal Cooler. They don't play the biggest role overall outside of being taken over and powered up. I'll go further into detail in a video about the Xenoverse stories in the future. In Dragon Ball Legends, the Red Ribbon appears multiple times through the story, but the game's narrative is massive and deserves its own video, so I'll just do a little overview of their role. The story centers around a time-space tournament, where the time-displaced Saiyans, Charlotte and Giblet are manipulated as part of a larger plan. During these events, Dr. Gero allies himself with Turles and Frieza, gathering data and building an army of Android 19. Bulma, Charlotte, and Vegeta eventually locate and destroy Gero's lab, but it's later revealed that the defeated Gero was only a decoy. Meanwhile, a new version of Cell begins absorbing people. This Cell is stronger than the original, since he has DNA of the tournament participants. Charlotte even protects 17 and 18 from being absorbed. Charlotte, his student Kaba, and the androids go around looking for Gero and Cell, eventually finding a lab, where they fight more 19s, a recreated Android 16, and many clones of Dr. Gero. With the help of 17 and 18, they manage to turn 16 against Gero and defeat the scientist. Then Dabura appears, allowing Cell to absorb 17 while he captures 18. Dr. Gero's recreations even come back, this time empowered by the Dark Key. We also learn that once he entered this tournament, Gero lost sight of his true goal of killing Goku, and instead decided to make the strongest warriors possible so that others would see his might and respect his creations. In reality, these were the effects of the Dark Key, a brainwashing power boost Zaha can use on others, pulling the strings in the shadows. They make a deal. Cell gets 18 if he makes a new tournament to gather energy for Majin Buu. This leads to the Super Cell games, a team tournament this time. In the end, Charlotte unlocks Super Saiyan 2 after 16 sacrifices himself, and together with Gohan, they defeat Perfect Cell. But again, that's only a glimpse at the Legend storyline. It has other Red Ribbon stuff like Android 13 and things like that. Android 13's actually pretty interesting in this, because at first he just does what Dr. Gero told him to do, but slowly over time he starts to change, seeing Charlotte fighting freely. And when he's finally defeated, he admits defeat, says that he feels strangely calm, and for the first time he understands what it means to fight because he chooses to and not because he was programmed. It's pretty cool, but this is a good small overview. And with all of that out of the way, that was the history of the Red Ribbon Army. It's only a matter of time until they show up again, with new battle jackets, new soldiers, new androids, and doctors to be defeated. Thanks for watching, everyone. Be sure to absorb that subscribe button. And if you're looking for more deep dives into Dragon Ball, check out the complete history of the Frieza Force.